We have an incredible UFC 311 main event. We have the champion, Islam Makhachev, taking on the actual #1 contender in Arman Tsarukyan for the lightweight championship of the world. Now, this is important because not often do we get the champion versus the rightful #1 contender. We get that here, and it's a great matchup. I'm excited for it. This is a rematch. These two fought quite some time ago. If you do remember, that is great. Watching that fight back was something I did for this, although they both changed, developed, and improved quite a bit since that fight. But in the first matchup, Islam did get the win. It was a short notice matchup for Arman. It was his debut in the UFC. Islam's original opponent did not make the fight, so Arman steps in on short notice, and here we go. Now we've got a rematch many years down the road. It's going to be a very good rematch because I do believe that this is truly the #1 contender versus the current champion, not champion versus whoever the UFC wants to put in there. I love it. So 5-0 in the last 5 for Islam, 4-1 for Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan, he's only got 3 losses in the career, one of them being to Islam on his debut. No shame there. Another recent one being to Gamrot, which I thought he won. I thought Tsarukyan won that fight pretty clear. So take it for what you will. His losses have all aged very well. Let's put it that way. When we look at these guys here, I want to compare where they're at now as opposed to where they were at the first fight. So we have to take that first fight, look at that, and then see where things have progressed. When we look at Arman Tsarukyan is a solid wrestler with very good takedowns, and the takedown volume is something that is successful for him. He's able to not shoot takedowns in the way like a Merab Dvalishvili, for example, who we talked about in our co-main event breakdown, where you're just shooting for the sake of shooting. Arman's trying to successfully get all of these takedowns, but he can continue to shoot them when he's having success, and if he realizes, oh, there's my opportunity to take a shot, I'm going to try to secure this takedown, but it's not to the extent where he's just shooting them just willy-nilly. He's picking his spots, but he does shoot a high volume of takedowns. He'll mix it in with the striking. He does a good job with it, but the volume of takedowns is much higher than someone like, say, Islam, for example. Now, the defense of the takedowns for Tsarukyan is very good because he's able to stop takedowns from some of the highest level fighters in the division, including Islam himself in their first fight. He was able to stop some takedowns there, use really good defense, especially in the clinch, to stop some of these takedowns and use his strength and power as well as his technique to be able to stay on the feet in a lot of clinch situations and just, good old-fashioned open mat takedowns. He did a good job there. And once he gets on top of his opponents, Arman's very good at staying safe. Now, you're about to ask, 138, didn't I see Charles Oliveira nearly sub Arman Tsarukyan twice in their fight? You did. You did see that. You saw that right. He didn't get the sub, obviously, but you saw that. And when he's catching these submissions, Oliveira, to get a submission on Arman, I think the openings, the possibilities for that are going to be on a takedown entry or in a scramble. Those are the places where Arman is going to be most susceptible to get caught in a submission. Not saying that it can happen here or that it will happen here, for example, but I think that it is more likely that those are the spots you're going to get than when he is on top, because once he secures his position, he's very good at staying out of trouble. You're not just going to get like a guillotine from your back, like holding him in your guard and just throwing up a guillotine. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to get you an arm bar off your back against a guy like Tsarukyan, a triangle off your back. You're not going to get those type of submissions on him. You're not going to be able to just hope he makes a mistake on top, getting a little aggressive in the ground and pound, and then get the sub. That's not how it works against him. He's very safe. That's the point I'm trying to drive home. But I had to explain that because I knew somebody was going to talk about the Charles Oliveira thing. So anyway, he's very good at the ground and pound once he does secure his position. He's very good at getting that ground and pound off, landing very effective shots. That's where we want. He lands effective shots in the ground and pound, but he secures his position first and then works for the ground and pound. He does not often put himself out of position to go for the ground and pound, so that is something that we like to see from Arman. Now, he's also got very good scrambling ability. That first matchup between these two, the scrambles were there. Even more recently, that Charles Oliveira fight, the scrambles between both guys were very impressive. I love to see it. Now, the striking, a lot of people rate this pretty high. I think it's good. I think he has good striking. He's definitely better in the wrestling than he is in the striking. I think he leaves some room to be, improved in the striking, but I do think it's good. It's good, but he's fighting for a world championship here. So if good is going to be, conceived as a critical thing or like me being critical of him, this is the fight for it because it is the world championship. You need to be elite, but he's good. He's got good forward pressure. He's got a lot of power. He could absolutely land one on the chin and get the win. That is it's unlikely that he just gets like a one-off just knockout, but he could. He absolutely could. And if anybody can, it's Arman Tsarukyan. Very good striking defense. Now, he's able to do this because of the wrestling threat. He's able to mix in his takedowns at the right times, get you worried about throwing your hands because you don't want to get taken down. He's able to get opponents to freeze simply by, the threat of the takedown. You're not going to come forward and start throwing shots at him, because if you're coming forward with these shots and he decides to shoot on your legs, you're probably in trouble. But he has very good striking defense in that sense. Not because necessarily he's just good at blocking shots or getting his head out of the way. It's because of the wrestling threat. He's got very good kicks, extremely powerful. He can land some absolutely nasty, devastating shots, and he has a dynamic attack as well. For one example, he'll mix in some spinning stuff, but very sparingly. He'll mix in a good spinning back fist when he needs to, flying knee, something like that. He'll mix those type of things in and keep the opponent guessing. Use that kind of wild style, but very controlled, if you know what I mean. Like he's using some wild techniques, but in a controlled manner, and he can link them together. So a lot of things I like from Arman. Now, on the other side, we've got Islam Makhachev. He is currently the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, as he should be, and he is a high-level grappler. He has near-perfect takedown entries. When this guy shoots a takedown, it's because he's picking that spot like he needs to and shooting that takedown, the entry. He gets low, he gets in, he goes through, and he gets to the hips and does what he needs to do with the takedown. He's got extremely good top control once he gets on top. His takedown defense is very, very good. Like I said, nobody's really taken this guy down. Arman did, but that was a long time ago. And since then, not a whole lot of people have had success in the grappling. He does also feint his submission attempts in order to advance position. Like you'll see him get the takedown, say he's in like half guard, for example. He's going to reach over, try and go for your arm, try to work something there. And as you go to defend the arm, boom, past the side control, boom, past a mount. He does an extremely good job about making you worry about that because his submission arsenal is very good. He's got a good arm bar from his back. We haven't seen it in a while, or very much, I guess, but he does have it. And he's got an excellent Darce choke. We saw him put that on Poirier. He's hit it on people before. He even talked about it in the Mighty Mouse podcast he did, where Mighty Mouse was saying that Islam got him in the Darce multiple times, and that Islam said it's his favorite submission. Now, obviously, there's a size difference there, but point is, it's a good move for him. In the striking, he's a solid striker. Now, the reason I say he's a solid striker is because first off, he's incredibly hard to hit. He's extremely hard to hit because his striking defense it's not impenetrable, but it's very good. He's very good at mitigating what his opponent can do. He keeps the range really well, and then he forces an activity by establishing threat on multiple levels. What do I mean by that? He's kicking to all levels, he's throwing punches to all levels, and he's shooting takedowns at times when you are trying to get your offense going. So similar to how Arman shoots his takedowns, he'll mix those in and open up his striking because he will use that threat of that takedown to kind of slow down the opponent's offense and the striking. Islam does the same thing, but he mixes it with his striking just a little bit better. He has very accurate combinations, and he can counter-strike with some of the best of them. If this fight stays on the feet and becomes a striking matchup, I think Arman has more one-shot power, more one-shot put your lights out kind of thing, but I think Islam's a better fighter. I think he's more accurate. I think he's going to be able to put together better combinations, and I think what he's going to be able to do is use that striking to put Arman into a desperate, maybe not desperate, that's probably a little bit too extreme, but into a sense where he needs to get a takedown. And then he's going to start going for takedowns. One thing that Makhachev does extremely well is when he defends takedowns, he makes you pay for shooting a takedown on him because he'll start driving knees to your body. Now, we've seen him do this before, and in the first matchup, he did this to great success. He would drive a knee to Arman whenever they would clinch up like that, and eventually to the point where Arman kept trying to have to, start working that same kind of technique that Islam was doing to him, but not to as much success. And that's why Islam ended up winning. So Islam would land the knee, Arman would try to go for a takedown off of that, fail that, and then Islam would be able to reverse that and get the takedown on his own, right? Now, like I said, first fight is different than now. Now we are in 2025. It has been a while. Who has improved more? I think they both improved quite a bit, honestly. I think that's kind of a bit of a wild one to say. For me, the winner of this fight is going to be Islam Makhachev, though. And the reason I say that, because by golly, I think he's the best fighter on the planet, and I think he's just better than everybody in the division. I don't think there's anybody in the division that's going to beat him. I think he's champion until he either retires or moves up to welterweight and gives up the belt. It's one of those things where he's just the best fighter. I think Arman Tsarukyan is a very good fighter. I think Islam Makhachev is better. I think he's going to get the win. I think he has it covered everywhere outside of a fluke knock, not a fluke knockout. Fluke's a little bit outside of like the Hail Mary knockout. That's how I think Arman's path to victory is. I don't think he's winning a decision. I think Islam's a very good minute winner. He's extremely hard to put in compromising positions. I don't think he's going to out-wrestle Islam. I don't think he's going to outstrike Islam. He could land a big shot. It's happened once before in Islam's career. I don't think we're going to get that again. Although that was really funny of Arman to post a picture with Martins, the guy that knocked out Islam way back in the day. Like they were like training together or whatever. I thought that was hilarious. Either way, we're taking Islam Makhachev to get the win. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And guys, if you've learned a little something from this video, if you've enjoyed this video, if maybe I've made you feel either more confident or less confident in your selection for this fight and who you're putting money on, drop a like, drop a comment down below, and give something back to the video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out the playlist with everything, including the full card breakdown. I will see you there.